Derby fans, she's an Oscar winner, a Golden Globe winner as an actress, but she's here with a new side of her career because this film season she's created a wonderful song called Glasgow, No Place Like Home from the really stellar film Wild Rose. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I am very excited to sit here with Mary Steenburgen. Thanks so much for joining me, Mary.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks a lot.
And I guess I should just start there because you're known for this really long, successful acting career. As an actor, you have an Oscar and a Golden Globe, many awards for Melvin and Howard, but now you are entering this new phase as a songwriter, and you've written this song for this movie. So can you describe sort of what spurred the change, this new career path as a songwriter?
It's a strange story. It takes a second to tell, but here it is. In 2007, I had a minor surgery on my arm, and they did have to put me under anesthetic to do it. And when I came out from the surgery, I felt very strange, which is not unusual because you've just had general anesthetic. And but what was difficult was that days later, I wasn't feeling less strange. I was feeling more strange. And the best way I can describe my sense of it all is that my old brain wasn't really the same anymore. It was replaced by a musical brain that turned every single sentence, every single street sign, every single concept or idea that someone might say into just this whirlwind of music. Not great songs or anything like that, just music constantly. And I would try to go to sleep at night and I would hear music and I would wake up to music. And I really didn't like it. And I felt very distracted by it. If I had at that time to be doing a television show or a movie or a play, I wouldn't have been able to have done it because I couldn't focus on anything but how strange my mind felt. And it was kind of scary to my husband, to my children. And it was just a lot of weirdness, and it didn't go away. And so I remember, I don't remember exactly, but a ways into it, I remember looking in the mirror and saying, this is not going to stop. You have to figure out what to do with this because a lot of people count on you. You can't go off the deep end. You're going to have to figure out how to incorporate this into your life. And so I started studying, first of all, just how people wrote songs and the construction of songs and looking at great songwriters and how they, I'd heard the words verse and, bridge and all that, but I really truly didn't know the difference between any of that stuff. And then I started actually eventually studying music and to play instruments, but little by little, one thing led to another. And when I wrote this first group of songs, I sent them under my mom's name to an amazing music lawyer who listened to them and called my manager and said, I could work with this kid. I'd like to assign this kid. And my manager went, kid's not going to describe her, but. So when I met him, I said, yeah, you already said you wanted to work with me. So you have to stick to it, even though I'm not a kid. And I ended up starting to write for Universal Music Publishing Group and met people in Nashville and started writing with people in Nashville. And I was always the least experienced person in the room and also the oldest person in the room. So really my story, I guess, if there's a takeaway for people, it's about saying yes and not being afraid to only have new beginnings be saved for young people. Because we all would tell, if you were my son, I would say, you can do anything, go for it, go for it. But nobody says that to someone my age. And so I said it to myself. And I've been very serious about writing music. My brain doesn't sound quite as noisy as it used to because I kind of get it out. But I've written music for the last 12 years with some of the great writers, especially in Nashville, the city of poets. And that's how I ended up writing this song for Wild Rose, which was really a pleasure and an honor.
Wow, that's such an amazing, drastic change that you embraced. And for Wild Rose, how did that first come across your desk there, and what really grabbed you and made you want to work on that song?
Well, Universal sent us a sheet that said there's a movie. I think at that time it was called Country Music, a little movie set in Scotland, and Tom Harper is the wonderful director that's directing, and they're looking for this really big song to go at the end, and it's a very pivotal moment. It's not an end credit song. It's for the lead character to sing at the end of the movie, and it has to express everything that she's gone throughout this film. And so they did a breakdown of it, but here's where I cheated a little bit because of 45 years of earning the right to do this. I got the script. I read the whole script, and I approached it partly like an actor. I just thought, okay, if I'm playing this role, which I'm way too old for, but if I were playing this role, what would I need to say? And that's where I started from. And then I called two women that I have mad respect for. Kate York, who's a wonderful singer-songwriter in Nashville, and Caitlin Smith, who's one of my most constant collaborators. We're working with Troy Burgess to write the music for an animated film right now. And I just knew both these women would understand that character as well, because they've both known heartache, and, they're women. And so this little team of three women all thought about what she would need to say. And the song poured out of us because I think we identified with the character so much. And then the next thing that happened is that we heard they chose it. And then the next thing that happened after that was that Jessie Buckley sent us a video of herself rehearsing it. Mm-hmm. And it was just in a rehearsal in some, dusty room somewhere, no lights, no nothing. And it was stunning. It was so stunning. And then I know some people will hear this song. I hope most people see the movie and see the moment of this song, because she really understood that character and really plays it with no apologies and just, leaves it all out there and sings this song so, so beautifully.
Yeah, it's an amazing, really cathartic moment that it's such a crowd pleaser, I think. I was interested to hear about your way in as an actor, because I know you studied with Sandy Meisner at Neighborhood Playhouse, and does any of that sort of acting training apply to the songwriting world, or do you find it's a much more natural thing that things flow out of you? Are you able to take from your actor toolbox?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing your research and knowing that I studied with Sandy Meisner so long ago. I appreciate that.
Well, I studied Meisner in college, not from Sandy Meisner, of course.
Right. I loved my teacher. He was hard and scary in some ways, but brilliant. And I was so blessed to study at the Neighborhood Playhouse, which is still a school that is just thriving and really wonderful for actors, young actors, to study. To me, the connection of acting and songwriting they're so similar, because you're telling stories. That's what you're doing. You're telling someone's story. And one of the cool things about songwriting is that I can play characters that I could never play in a movie. I can play this young woman. I can play a man. I can, play like a bad guy that's, gotten, cheating in his heart, or whatever you can name. I can write a song about that. So that's kind of amazing. And I also love one of the first things that you learn as an actor when you enter into a new film, and you're like I'm soon going to start a film with the great director Guillermo del Toro, and one of the first things that I got when I read this script is the tone of it, just the tone of it, and that's more important as a first kind of get from a new project than your lines or your character. To me, it's like, what is the world I'm entering? And so every time you write a song, you are creating, with that tone, you're creating a world. And, maybe it's a hip, cool, edgy world. Maybe it's a nostalgic world. There's no limit. There's no limit at all. And that's what I love about both acting and songwriting, is that there's no limit to the stories.
Yeah. Well, I was also wondering, did you get to sort of talk to Tom Harper and have any discussions about the sort of meaning that you put into the song? Because it's such a very dense scene for, you just think of a performance scene of singing a song, but there's a lot of character work going on. There's really nice reaction shots of Julie Walters that taking it in, and it's like a song to her, and it's a song about the people. So what did you have conversations with him about that, or how did that process work?
By the way, Julie Walters is brilliant in this movie, in a really tough role. She's brilliant, which is no surprise. I'm such a fan of hers. I talked a little bit with him about, I really initially wanted to talk to him about kind of visual things, like what is their apartment look like? And what is her room going to look like? And at one point, there's a lyric in this song that we had, Mama, we both know that there's nothing that a little time and Patsy Cline can't fix. Mm-hmm. And that line was there because in my talk with Tom Harper, he said that both the mother and the daughter, one thing they had in common was that they both loved Patsy Cline and had like pictures or posters of her up. And originally the line was, Mama, we both know that there's nothing that a little wine and Patsy Cline can't fix. And Tom said, I think that Julie's character is going to be someone who's sober. She's gotten sober. So maybe that's the only change he asked in the song, is if it could be changed to time instead of wine. And we liked both of those ideas, so we did. But a lot of my conversations were about Jesse's character and with just the world that they were living in. And then when I saw the film for the first time, I was so moved by it, moved by all of it, by the actors, by the look of it, by Scotland, by Glasgow itself, where I have a very dear friend that is from there. So just the look of all of it and the feel of all of it, and the unapologetic character she's not a good girl, She doesn't do what people tell her to do. And she makes no apologies for this brilliant character. And so it got to the end where the song was going to be, and the thing that surprised me that I had never asked him was I'd never asked him, how big is this venue where she's singing the song? I never thought to ask him that. And I was so shocked at how big it was, actually. And that I thought it was this little intimate room in Glasgow, but it was actually like part of a festival, indoor festival, but a large group of people. And the funny thing that happened is that the day that was shot, in the middle of the night, I guess, because there's a huge time difference. People that were background people in that venue started emailing, no, tweeting me. That's so sad. Tweeting me about the song and saying, "Oh my God, we've been sitting here listening to this song over and over, and we're all crying every time, and we love this song." And it was like this crazy amount of tweets to do with that song. And that was I almost felt like I was there listening to all these sweet messages from the people that were in the background of that scene.
Mm. That must be a pretty amazing thing to feel someone else singing your work in a scene like that. She certainly made it fill up that big space.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit here and listen to your stories forever, but before I let you go, I'm curious to know what kind of vision do you see your songwriting career going forth into next? I mean, for me, I cover a lot of Broadway here, and it's very much, because of your character drivenness, it seems like a musical moment almost. So I wonder would you want to write a musical? Would you want to write other types of songs? What do you have planned next?
I definitely want to write a musical. You guessed my big dream. I have a couple of things that I've optioned to try to make sure that happens. I'm working right now on a show for NBC that involves music. I haven't written anything for the show because it's all well-known music, but it's called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So the other weird thing about what happened to me is that even though none of this really has to do with me singing, I keep being cast in sort of musical type situations ever since then. And by the way, back to my crazy story, I had a grandmother who was very, very musical, and she played the guitar and the accordion, which I'm very fond of playing now, and the piano, lots of other instruments. And so when I think about what happened to me that day, I like to think that what happened is somehow in the course of that surgery, a little channel that was connected to her opened up. And that was my brain all along, but I hadn't really had access to it. And so that's how I describe, but who will know? No one will know. I just said yes. That's the one thing I could control.
There you go. Well, that sounds like a very exciting, wonderful connection there, and I can't wait to see what new music you write next.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, everyone watching at home on Gold Derby, stay subscribed to us for all of our updates during this award season. Mary, thanks so much for sitting down with me, and best of luck as the season goes on. Everyone check out the song Glasgow. Give it a listen. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.